What's up guys, my name is Your Heroes and welcome back to Call to Arms. And I know there's been recently a lot of Call to Arms video with this new update, with me getting the Ultimate Edition and me doing faction reviews. I know this is I think my fourth video in a row doing Call to Arms, and I know it's been long, but I promise you today will be the last kind of review, let's say, on the factions and all the updates. So next time will be a Call to Arms video. It'll be the actual gameplay of the conquest mode, or might be the campaign, I don't know, or it'll be a different game such as Men of Warsaw Squad 2. So I know I haven't done that game in a while, so don't worry, that game is still, the video is still coming, so don't worry. But I just wanted to finish off the rest of the German faction because I didn't, in my last video I explained that I didn't know there was a test mode. So what I'm doing, I'm showing you now the rest of, well, mostly the rest of the faction that I didn't do in my first German review. So there was no like helicopters and the tanks and the infantry I didn't show you in the first one, I'm showing you now. So if you do like what you see and you do want to see more of Call to Arms, then make sure you leave a like, comment down below and subscribe if you're new. Oh, and also what I did say in my last video is that anybody who does subscribe will get a shout out. So yeah, anybody, so that is, a lot of people do say, oh, they'll get shouted at the start of video, and I know most people do it, but I actually do it because I feel like people who do subscribe, and I don't shout their names, I feel like they're being excluded in the channel. So I do feel, like they're left out. So I kind of feel really sad. So a big shout out to Hands of Blood. Big shout out to you, and I think that's it. And people who have subscribed but haven't clicked, but haven't been notified, or it hasn't come up on my notified in my section, then you need to make sure that it's like linked up to, I think, like all the Google accounts thing, and or make sure you're linked up with the YouTube notification bell. So you should actually click the notification bell, because that means that if you do subscribe, then, well, you'll get notified of every video I'll do. But I think it also lets you see your name when you subscribe. I'm not exactly sure, but I think that's how the algorithm works or something. So big shout out to you, Hands of Blood, and then whoever has subscribed, then I just want to say thank you so much for subscribing, but your name has not come up on my notification. So make sure, I can't remember, ask YouTube or something how to link up. But anyway, besides all that, yes, we are back with the kind of part 2, let's say, or the final part of the German review. So what I've done is I've not brought out like a whole, I've not brought out the whole German faction, because that would just be a giant waste of time and it'd just be too long. So I've only brought out the things that I didn't cover in my last German faction review. So such as a helicopter, such as the vehicles I didn't bring out last time, and the infantry and all that. So and I have to say, I just want to start off with the really good stuff, and let's start off with the helicopters. Now, I think a few of you said that what I can actually do is I can take out my infantry but leave the crew in the helicopters, and that's what I've actually done. So any of you for saying that, then thank you very much for your advice. And the reason I did it in the last video is because of the helicopter sounds, and I didn't know if it'd be distracting for you guys, just to hear the helicopter sounds in the background, but you guys seem to be okay with it. And as you can see, I've got my wee, I didn't actually know this, I'm just looking at this now, there's my wee logo there on the helicopter. But yes, I want to start off with the helicopters. Now, as you can see, these, I have to say, these are much more sexy looking than the Russians, and what can I say? Well, just the paint job and the fact that it's got, these special wee details. Sorry, I should probably get everything out of the way. I'll close the map and everything, but like the fine wee details on this helicopter, you can see that you have to pull this handle to release, and you got the wee arrow and you got the wee white lines covering the outside is really cool. And you got the numbers at the back, and like you can see like the different colours of the helicopter blades as well, like it's yellow, red and white. And I didn't see it on the Russian helicopters. You only saw it was only like camel it was only like a camo job and nothing special like this. So all I'm going to preferably, in my opinion, I prefer the German helicopters over the Russian helicopters. But sorry, that is the helicopter. That is the oh, I keep mucking this up. So that's just called the NH90, and then so that's kind of like the vehicle. So it only carries two. It has two crew. Two helicopter pilots. Sorry, that's what I should say. And it carries 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it carries 5 men in a helicopter. But apparently it says you can actually carry 14. So that's actually 2 less than what you can carry in the Russian one. So if you're in your if you're on your Russian helicopters, then you can definitely carry 2 more space than the German one, because it says 2 crew and then 14 kind of in brackets. So I presume that just means you can bring on 14 more infantry. So, but in this case, there's only 5 here. Moving on to the next one, which is the NH90 Heavy. Now this is the kind of the same layout as the Russians. It's literally just one. These both are just troop carriers and these are just fighters. But with this one, you can see there's actually quite a difference if we just look at it here. I know it's very similar, but I could say you can see there's a lot of difference between the two others. You can see that this one's definitely the heavier one within its name, and this time this one actually carries 2 machine gun or miniguns, the M134D machine guns. Now, as you can see, it's much different to the Russian miniguns, because Russian miniguns I think had like a smaller gap, such as kind of like the size maybe of this window but longer. So it was a lot smaller gap, and I think they had the caliber of the machine gun was smaller in the Russian helicopters, whereas this I'm actually going to take control here, and if I press 2 I can start, you can hear that. I can feel that it's a lot better than the Russian one. So sorry, friendly fire. I'm trying to switch to number 3. Where's number 3? 3. There we go. And as you can see, there's a lot. You can see it's a lot. I feel like the machine guns here are a lot more effective than the Russian ones, because like I said, I guess the caliber of the miniguns on the Germans are presumed a lot heavier, or are a lot more better than the Russian ones, and you've got that better kind of wide arc. So with the Russian ones, you can see that if I take that away, you can see that the Russian ones, the gap was a lot more smaller, so you couldn't actually shoot as much towards right and the left. But with the Germans helicopters, you can see that the wide arc is a lot better with the Germans. You can see I can easily shoot all the way over here, right almost in front of me and almost to the back, whereas Russian was maybe like 45 to the right and maybe 45 to the right, where I think the Germans have like 90 to the right and 90 to the left. So it's really good, really effective for that. Like I said, the Germans and the Russian helicopters are very unique but in their own way, so which is really handy. Okay, and also, sorry, I forgot that the heavy carries again 14, which I think should actually is kind of wrong. I feel like it should carry 16 because it's a heavy version, but I don't know if it's just because of the minigun is bigger. I presume that's why these two helicopters are kind of 14, because, well, this one should actually have 16 because there's no minigun in that. And I just realised they're wasting so much fuel by just floating here, but I'm sure they'll run out of fuel. But this one, it has 14 because it has a wider arc and it takes up the space. So I can understand why that it only carries 14 compared to 16. Okay, moving on to the fighters now. Now these fighters, again, very similar to the Russians, but I think again I prefer the German helicopters over the Russians, just because I don't know. I mean, I think the Russian helicopters on this are at par with each other. Again, very similar. The camo is very plain and very nice. It's got my wee logo there as well, as you can see it. As you can see, I do actually like this. I do actually like the pilot, the way that kind of their position, one's at the bottom, one's at the top. I do really like that wee thing. So I think if you go into the first person, you can see that well, this thing actually has a 12.7mm AP kind of minigun or machine gun. You can see that it's firing very rapid here, and I don't want to shoot. I don't want to try and blow up my vehicles because I laid this out very nicely. And it also carries a high explosive rocket launchers, which is 70mm M151 Hydra, and I don't want to shoot, but I'll shoot it there, and it just blew out some glass off the building. But as you can see, again, I would say this particular attack helicopter is very good for taking out lightly armored vehicles and infantry as a high explosive. I don't know about tanks or the heavily armored tanks, because maybe all the high explosive kind of rocket launcher or the missiles would do is maybe just track them, blow off their tracks, and then that's about it. So I would say bring this into action if you're going against maybe kind of light armored vehicles or a horde of infantry. Again, with the same two of the helicopters. Well, get rid of this thing, because this thing will just die immediately because there's no guns on this, so just bail on that. But this one you can use against infantry doing a strafing run. If you're defending and the enemy are attacking, then you can do a strafing run to make it easier to defend for yourself. Again, as well, for this helicopter, this is called the Tiger, or the Tiger. Pronounce it. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Yeah, it's just a Tiger. These names are a lot easier to say than the Russian ones, which is good. But as you can see, I feel like the Call to Arms have put more effort into the details of the Germans, camo and all that, compared to the Russians. I don't know if that's just because it's how it actually looks in real life, or I don't know if it's just the way they've made it in the game. But definitely very effective. And these guys are actually about to run out of fuel, so. Well, not these helicopters, but this attack helicopter is about to run out of fuel. Next one. Okay, so now that we've covered that, moving on to the Tiger Heavy. Now this thing carries 159mm PARS 3LR. Actually, I don't know if this one carries. No, this one carries 70mm M151, but this one carries a heavier machine gun. Or the main gun is 159mm PARS or PRS 3LR, and the machine gun, or sorry, that was a rocket launcher. The machine gun is a 12mm HMP 400 LCC. So as you'll probably hear, this thing, as you can see, the sound, it does sound very similar compared with that other helicopter, but you can see this thing is probably more hard hitting than the other one, and it's very good at just blowing. It's very good at taking out infantry, taking out like vehicles, and this thing has a much better kind of ATGM or whatever, or a missile, I should say, anti-tank guided missile. So you can see it is very good. I'm just going to blow up that helicopter. There you go, and you can see my game was glitching a wee bit, but you can see that these are a beast. Now, unfortunately, I think you can only carry like 6 rounds of these missiles, and then it's a reload. Unfortunately, but that's just the way it is. So again, these helicopters are very sexy looking, and they're very modern looking. So again, I do like it a lot. I don't know. These are you can see that the machine guns here coming out of this kind of tube thing, and then you got the rocket launchers. There's 4, whereas this one has, there's kind of like a wee tube with the machine gun coming out, and you can see it's got smaller missiles compared to this one. But yeah, so that is all of the helicopters covered for the Germans. So they're actually literally about to run out of fuel, so I'll just keep them running until they run out of fuel. I don't know if it'll just explode, or I don't know if they'll just sit down and then turn off the engines. I don't know how it works. But okay, moving on to kind of the vehicles that I didn't cover in the German review last time. So we have the SP Marder 1A3. Now, I did mention last time that the reason I wasn't bringing that vehicle out is because you actually saw it in one of the missions, but I thought, I'd just bring it out anyways, just to, see what it looks like. And, it does look very nice. and you can see that it has a 20mm AP gun, and it is very, very rapid firing, kind of like the helicopters, and it is very good for, again, just blowing up stuff like this. Yeah, there you go. And it also actually has the anti-tank guided missile, so ATGMs, which is 150mm Milan ER. So you can see it only has one tube, so unfortunately it's like a 10, maybe I would say maybe 15 to 10 second reload, and then you can shoot again. And then it also gives you that wee 7.62mm machine gun for just in case like you're reloading on your 20mm, and then you can easily switch to the 6.2 to take out the infantry. Again, this vehicle will be good again supporting with the infantry and moving up on any capture points you're taking, or any I can even say it, strategic points, such as maybe again lightly armoured vehicles and helicopters. Again, I would say this thing is actually a very good AA gun, or AA kind of tank, because it can, if you've got enemy helicopters, then you'll be able to shoot this thing down very, very easily. And if, let's say, the enemy bring transport troops, then you'll be able to shoot it down. And I think this thing is literally about to run out of fuel. You can see the propellers getting very. It's about to literally run out of fuel. It's got like 21 like fuel left, wherever it is. Okay, so moving on to the GTK Boxer M2HB. Now, I brought out the other version, which was the GTK Boxer GMW, so if you haven't seen that video, then of course I'll leave it in the description. But this one is kind of like the first version of it. Now, that one that brings out is will give you a 40mm grenade launcher, whereas this one, it'll just give you a 12.7mm kind of machine gun. And this thing, I would say, is very effective. I would say I would say, yep, there you go, it's run out of fuel. I told you. But as you can see, this thing, I would say, is very hard hitting. Again, rapid fire. And unfortunately it only carries this gun, doesn't carry anything else, maybe, and only brings smoke. So and also it can actually carry troops as well. I don't know how many. It can carry 11 troops, so 3 crew plus 11 troops. Now this one, I actually forgot to say in the SP Model 1A3, there you go, there goes the second one. This can actually carry 9 troops, so you can actually, this thing is actually, the Panzer Model 1A3 can actually still very useful in carrying troops to its destination, and you know, being attacked, protecting itself as well. Well, and which is very good. But this thing can carry 11 troops, and it's really, again, mostly good for kind of infantry support, and again taking out those kind of armoured vehicles that you'd see in the GRM faction, or maybe lightly armoured American tanks or something. Maybe you can track them and then, you know, take off the tracks and then, you know, flank around with your allies and then take them out. Or, you know, very good at blowing up helicopters, which is very nice. Or maybe blowing up, again, taking out, I would say this again, kind of like a AA gun, very good at taking out helicopters. So, or maybe not, because it's just ricocheting, but I don't know. And I would say it's the reload isn't that long, maybe again 10 seconds, maybe even less, maybe 8 seconds, so it's quite good on that. I think these things are about to run out of fuel as well, yeah, 105. Now these transport troops carry a lot more fuel than the attack helicopters, and you can probably see why. Okay, moving on to the Dingles. Now what I did actually do is that I showed you in, again, the review, I only showed you the ATF Dingle MG3, which was the first one, but I didn't show you the other two. So the other two, this one, the ATF Dingle M1HB, which I definitely didn't show you. This one again carries a 12.799, actually exact same as the Boxer here. So the only difference is with this is that I would bring this one out. Oh, a complete idiot, I forgot to say that this one can actually has a kind of a resupplier. You can see the kind of white outline, so that means you can put, let's say your infantry are out of ammo, you can bring them in here, and then you can put them in for, you can bring them in to you know, get some ammo. So again, very good for the Boxer. Whereas this is a lot smaller vehicle, less armor, I would say, whereas this has 30 to 35 armor. This only has 5 to 10 armor, so again, good at supporting infantry. Exactly the same guns. The machine gun is an M2HB and this one's an M2HB, so exactly the same guns. whereas this has 3 crew, whereas this has 3 crew as well. And the only thing, the difference between those two is that, well, you can see the wheels. This thing has definitely more wheels, but this one actually carries, brings you 2 extra, you know, 2 extra soldiers, which is really nice, and I'm really glad they do that. So it actually came with it automatically, so you can definitely, let's say you're bringing this thing out and you need some infantry as well, or you don't want to bring out a separate infantry squad, then you've got these 2 soldiers who are, who are at your disposal with the vehicle itself. Again, same with moving on to the ATF Dingle GMW. Now this thing actually is an upgrade, because this thing actually, it fires a 40mm grenade launcher, which is very nice. Again, good taking out your armoured vehicles such as the GRM faction, and your light armoured vehicles and infantry as well. Very good at taking them out. And again, comes with 2 infantry soldiers, which is really nice. And again, the camo of these, of these tanks and these armoured vehicles are really nice looking, and I would say very fits well with the environment. So very well good, and I do like it a lot. And I don't think actually with the Russian faction, I don't think when you bring out the kind of the same armoured vehicles, I don't think it comes with 2 infantries, whereas the Germans do. And the guns that they carry is a G36A2, which is again really nice to know, and I would say these guns actually are a lot better than the Russian ones, the Russian guns, but that's just personally my opinion. And moving on to probably the cutest tank of them all, the Weasel. Look at this thing, it's absolutely tiny. You can actually get this thing in Armoured Warfare, but you can see it's so small that it actually has a registration plate at the end. Do you see that? It is so cute. And there goes one of the helicopters. But you can see that this thing only actually has, well, it has 2 things. Well, it has a large 150, has a 152mm GBM 71 TOW, so it's a TOW missile, and it's very good. It's literally the same as this wee thing over here. Well, actually that's smaller, but you can see that this thing is very good. So let's say you are up against a tank and you don't have anything at your disposal, but you can bring out this wee Weasel, put this thing in a really stealthy position, and then come up behind it or flank it around, because this thing is very small and very agile, so you can definitely move around it. Unfortunately, it doesn't have a turret, so you're actually going to have to move the tracks as well, so which is quite unfortunate. So when flanking around, you're actually going to go forward, then turn the tank, and then turn it even more. So it is quite annoying to do that, but I guess that's the whole point. And this thing actually has an MG43, again a 7.62mm gun, which would be good for your against infantry that are approaching this, because this thing doesn't have really good self-defense. It only has, again, against infantry it only has the MG3, where against tank it has this big 152mm TOW, so very good against heavily armoured vehicles, maybe at the side and maybe at the front as well. Okay, moving on to the last 3 things, which actually I've kind of which I was supposed to cover in the last one, but you can, so I've literally got the engineers brought out, and you can bring them out with a built and mounted MG43, or sorry, an MG3. So it comes with kind of built sandbags, and it comes with the MG3 you get with the Weasel, which is very nice. So if you're surrounded, let's say you're in a helicopter crash in one of the missions, I think it is, and that you need and you've got engineers, then set this up instantly. If you've got the opportunity to set this up, do it, because it'll be very useful against enemy infantry, because it'll be easy to shoot the gunner, but it does have a wee bit of cover, not much, but it actually has, you can still use it. Moving on to another thing you can do with the engineers, which is the Milan ER. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And the main gun, or the big TOW, is 115mm Milan, or Milaner, no, Milan ER. So this thing actually has a less, the caliber, or whatever you say, is less powerful than the Weasel, because this thing is 115, whereas the Weasel was 152, so a massive difference. But this thing is actually still very useful. I would say it is very useful, in the fact that you know, let's say you don't want something, you know, quite as, I know this thing is really small, but let's say you don't want something to be as showy as the tow missile, and you want something even smaller, but then you've got this, you've got, let's say you're up against a lightly armoured vehicle and you can't even afford the Weasel, but you can get this. Then I would get this, because this thing can actually still take out, you know, lightly armoured vehicles, and you know, armoured vehicles, and what else, and you know, tanks, even tanks as well, such as maybe the M60. You can probably track it, but I don't know if you can destroy it, but it'll definitely slow down the tanks to make it, you know, to make it harder to progress through your lines. But again, very useful. Again, so if you just want to put this in a bush or somewhere, then it'll be very hard for the enemies to detect. And the only thing, there's actually no cover for it. I was hoping maybe you could get maybe like a bush or something to cover yourself, but again, that's what I guess that's what it really, the bushes are for over here. Now, only really requires a one-man crew, so you don't need to actually do it. Again, same with the machine gunner. You don't, all you need is like one soldier or one engineer to really crew this. You do need the engineer to build this though, but which is really good, so I'm glad you don't need that, you know, two soldiers or something to waste it up. And also, I forgot to say, with the Weasel, comes with 3 crew, so again, you're probably going to need to get your B3 crew ready, because this thing can easily get destroyed. But moving on to the very last thing that I want to mention today, is the mortar. Now, this is again to do with the engineers. This is a KRH-40 or a KRH-40 mortar, or whatever it's called. Well, I think that's what it's called. And you can see this thing is very sexy looking. I like how Call to Arms have definitely put in these small details for Call to Arms. You can see that there's kind of like a white line going up, and you can see there's like a, you can actually aim in. So let's say I want to aim for this helicopter, or let's say I want to aim for these bunch of infantry, or let's say for this this helicopter, then I'll just click it and it'll do it. And I like how you can actually, you know, zoom in and actually aim, whereas in Call to Arms or Minute Warfare Squad 2 you can't actually do that, which is really annoying. But this thing actually carries 120mm HE high explosive mortar rounds, so again, very good for if you're playing defensive or attacking actually, but more good for defending, because if you're in a defense mission and you want to reduce the amount of, you know, enemies coming towards you or kill some infantry, then this thing would be very good, because it has a, I don't know what the range is, let's say, of the high explosive detonation. So, but I presume it could kill, if a bunch of infantry are grouped together, and then you can kill them, and this thing can just keep going, keep firing until you run out. I would say about has maybe about a 5-second reload, and I think that almost hit the helicopter there. But yeah, but that is it, and as you can see, it's got a lot of cover around it, so it does cover actually the infantry itself. So if you're up against, if the infantry see you like that, I mean, it would be easy to see them, but it still has a cover around it as well. So you can actually, let's say you're getting some infantries and you want to, you know, support, you know, cover your mortar, because your mortar might be the most important thing around you. Then you can get your infantry, around this kind of sack right here. That sounds really wrong, but around the, you know, the covered area, and then you can definitely protect your mortar, as well as the machine gun. Again, with the machine gun, you can definitely get your men to cover both sides of the machine gun. So if you're facing against it now, I mean, it's still easy to see it. It's still easy to see a machine gunner, but you've just got more firepower now. So yeah, that is it for the tech tree, or sorry, for the rest, or part 2 of the Russian, sorry, not Russian, the German faction. Now, I would have brought out the motorized, motorized infantry, but again, I don't think that's really relevant, because I've already showed you the infantry, and all it'd come in, I can show you the truck that it literally comes in. It'd come in, where is it? It literally would just come in like something like this vehicle over here, or it might come in something like that, but it'd be in, it'd be able to, show you, it'd be able, it wouldn't be for like ammunition, it'd be something like this. But you can see that, again, I think that I actually like the I forgot to say I do actually like the supply trucks, because you know, you see the cult arms have put very much good detail into the German faction with the wee logo at the front and the camo, and you know the wee, you can see even the wee caging on the lights and all that, and it's very nice. I do love the amount of detail they put into each faction, but I think cult arms should focus more on putting way more details into the Russians than the Germans. But other than that, that is it for this video, guys. So yeah, I hope you'd enjoyed. Now this definitely wasn't as long as yesterday's video, but I'd say this is probably around about maybe 25-minute video, but I'm not sure. But anyway, guys, I hope you did enjoy. If you did, make sure you leave a like in this video. Again, if there's anything I did miss in this video, or is there anything that I got wrong, then please do let me know in the comments down below, because your advice and your feedback recently in the Cult Arms faction reviews, or any faction review that I've done this week, it's just been amazing. So thank you very much for all your support and love recently, and just your advice as well. So yeah, it's just been amazing. But other than that, guys, I just like to say thank you so much for watching and all your support, and I will see you next video. See you later, and goodbye.